seen this before. Let me try to exit out of this thing. All right, there we go. Okay. So yes, good morning to everybody. We're now streaming live on YouTube as well. So I usually do my introduction at the end. I don't know why I do that. But I'm going to do it at the beginning today. So I'm Coach Hadassah, metaphysician, educator, and coach over here at KPCFX, and I teach our Forex students trading psychology, and also helping to help our Forex students release trapped emotions and self-limiting beliefs to restore mental health and increase our wealth, because we're over here in this Forex industry where it's let's say about an $8 trillion per day market. So with that, we have there's no rules or regulations and things like that. So we have to make those rules for ourselves, because everything has a rule or measurement, because that's what rule is, right? We kind of think rules is like, don't do this, don't do that, but it's actually a standard. Rules are standards. So we have to set standards for ourselves. We have to regulate ourselves. We have to temper or control ourselves, self-control in this vast market, and that's really dependent on us. So everybody doesn't have the same income goals. Everybody is not striving for the same things. We are going throughout our day and going throughout our life, hopefully, to compete with who we were yesterday. That's really what that is, to compete, meaning that we want to keep up, right? We want to keep up, but we also want to be better than we were yesterday, or improve upon that, right? So this is what we do over here, and mental health in that process is very important. It's crucial. Our emotional health is it's locked right within, right there with our mental health. And so one of the things that we want to do today is for our mental health exercise is bring some truth to our consciousness when it comes to our own finances. Kind of dispel some of the beliefs that we have about finances, if we're not understanding that a lot, especially in America. I'm not sure about other countries, but I know in America that financial literacy, it's where many Americans are financially illiterate. Although we have jobs, right? Professions, careers, we make money, high income earning, some people are high income earners and others are average, and some are below, we tend to think that high income earners are financially literate. We tend to think that, as average income earners, right, that we're financially literate, and then we look at those who don't make that much money, or they're not high income earners, low income earners, that, well, possibly they don't know, like they are not financially literate. But earning income has nothing to do with financial literacy, because someone could be what's deemed to be a low income earner and be financially literate, and they can take that, their income and grow it. And then the high income earner or even average income earner, not being financially literate can have their income and not understand how to grow it, how to save in order to grow and increase and start accumulating assets and allow those assets to basically, like I like to say, make babies. Basically how to put your money to work for you instead of continuing to work for money. Because if we weren't, if we weren't born into wealth, or an inheritance wasn't left to us or anything like that, then we have to work for money, at least in the beginning. And then with financial literacy, we learn how money works. We learn how the this system that we live in America, capitalism, we have to understand capitalism. We have to understand taxes. We have to know how that works. We have to know, the percentage of, with our income that we're being taxed, so that those, tax season is coming up, right? And there are people who get a tax refund, and it's like, yay, we're happy about it. But really, when you think about it, you think about that word refund. Refund means that you're getting money back that you overpaid. So it's like, wait a minute, like all year, money is being taken out of my check and things like that. And you might be a little bit behind on your bills, or you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, or maybe you're not. Maybe you have that under control, but then you don't have as much as you would like to for, other things. And if we're using credit, right? We have credit here in America. Many people use credit, and we may be on time with our credit obligations. Maybe we're over leveraging the credit, things like that. But you kind of got to think like, do wealthy people use credit? We say that they do, but do they really have to, as far as like maybe your average person uses credit? We do know that wealthy people do use credit. However, what they do is they leverage credit, meaning that they use credit to make more money, right? They use credit to buy assets, or what I would like to say, Robert Kiyosaki, when he talks about credit, he talks about credit in the sense of, he says he calls it good debt, right? And that good debt is where you leverage credit to grow your money, increase your assets, buy assets, so that grows, and then you pay back your credit obligations with the, with the capital that you've been able to increase, and you're never using your own money. Well, many people don't use credit like that. They use credit as an extension of their income, and then just pay, pay the balance or pay it on time and things like that, right? So like I said, tax season is coming up, and many people will get refunds, meaning they overpaid, and that's money that they could have really kept in their pocket and used to increase assets, right? It could have helped them to stay out of debt. They could have used that money to start their own entrepreneur endeavors, or other things, as opposed to it being held all year, and they maybe struggle a little bit, and then that money being used really in the Forex market, like, is being held, and trust and believe is not just sitting there. That money is making money many times over. And then it's like, oh yeah, well, thanks for, allowing us to make millions and billions and trillions of dollars off of the money that we've held from you. Here's your exact money back. And then when you think about it, it's like, well, wait a minute, because trust and believe, if you borrow and there's interest on top of that, right? You're not paying back what they gave you. You're paying back what they gave you and some. So why is it that you're not getting and some with what's been held, right? These are questions that we could ask ourselves, but we kind of know that that's not going to happen. We're not going to call up the IRS or anything and say, hey, I need interest on the money that you've held in for this whole time, the whole year. So the best that we can do is learn how to save on taxes, because we will be taxed, right? I mean, that's just the system that is set up, and it's not for us to try to evade taxes or not pay them or anything like that. It's just saving on taxes so that you can use your money to accumulate wealth, right? Where you can eventually work yourself off of the job that you have, maybe create your own business, do that business, create a business for your family, and have that family business going. That's really how America was set up in the beginning. It was the businesses were what we call small businesses now, the mom and pop shops and things like that. And you had your son or your daughter and they worked alongside of you as apprenticed, and they were pretty much groomed into the business. They still got their education, because what do? We need to know and learn how to read, and reading, writing, arithmetic, and then the skill set of what we're doing in the business. And psychology is huge, right? Because everybody has a mind. And so we need to know not only how our minds work, but other people, so that we know how to work cooperatively with them, right? And then grow in that being passed down. And then of course we have the stock market, we have the Forex market, that helps to increase and grow the wealth, right? So, we can get into the whole history of the Great Depression, which was that stock market crash and things like that back in history, to understand where we are today, right? When it comes to the pandemic that we just had, and all of these things that are going on economically in the time that we're in now. And just like before, during that time, there are a lot of people that became wealthy, and there are a lot of people that were, wealthy with their families and their family businesses that ended up in the, what they call the soup kitchen line, and the Social Security numbers and all of that type of stuff came into play at that time, right? That's something that we know commonly now, but those things were introduced during that time, right? So when we look at that in history and we come to where we are today, the same thing is happening. There is a wealth transfer. That was a wealth transfer back then. We have a wealth transfer going on now. And so the question is, where would we like to be on that, on which side of things? We know in the Forex market, for those who profit, there are also those who are not profiting, because we have buyers and sellers in the market, right? So with this wealth transfer, our question is, where do we want to be? Which side do we want to be on? Do we want to be on that side of the wealth transfer, that it transfers to us or from us and our future generations, right? So with that being said, we have to get to a point of truth And that truth is just being consciously aware of where we are financially, looking at our finances, right? Being aware of them, and doing this exercise that we're going to do, as throughout this session, our health and wealth session, which is, is both. We're looking at our wealth, and that's going to help us with our mental health, because I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you this: falsehood, or the untruths, that doesn't work well for our mental state. It doesn't, right? Because it doesn't allow us to move forward the way that we believe we want to move forward, right? So we have to face it. We have to face ourselves. We have to face our current finances, and really look at that picture to know where we are, and then make our plans and our strategies to move forward to where we want to be, and that goal setting that we'll have too, right? So this is what we'll be doing today. So with the wealth building, we have this lesson where, we're going to look at a balance sheet. And then, of course, when this session uploads in the back office, you'll be able to, there will be that PDF that's posted where you can download it. You can, I'm not sure if you can work with it online, or maybe you would have to, download it to save and print. But either way, right? Either way, you want to have this balance sheet, because this will give you a clear picture of where you are. And trust me when I say that, in the beginning, it would kind of look like, this is, it's simple. This is something that I don't necessarily have to do. I know what my finances look like and things like that. However, if you, before I say that, let me ask this question, and you could drop it in the chat. How many of you have done a balance sheet? Like, drop a one in the chat if you've looked over your finances and you've actually done a balance sheet, where either you have written it or you've done it in a an Excel sheet. How many of you have done that? Okay. All right, good. I see at least 3 so far. 4. There we go, 4. All right. Let's see if we, I know sometimes it's delayed. We might have that come up, that delayed reaction. All right. How many of you have not done a balance sheet? Drop a 2 in the chat. Okay. I see another 1. There's another 1 that's added. Okay. So if you've never done the balance sheet, all right, drop a 2 in the chat. Okay. I see some 2s coming up. I see some 2s. All right. Okay. Now, how many of you have, let's see how I want to form this question. How many of you do a balance sheet every year, like annually? Annually. Drop a 3 in the chat if you do it, if you do this balance sheet annually, like every year you do a balance sheet. Drop a 3 in the chat. Okay, I don't know if I don't see any coming up yet. All right. So if you do not do a balance sheet every year, drop a 4 in the chat. Okay. All right. I see those 4s coming up. I see the 4s coming up. All right. Now, we need to do a balance sheet at least once a year, annually. if not every 6 months, but definitely once a year. This is the reason why we need to do a balance sheet at least once a year. It's actually good to do it every quarter, right? So that's every 90 days, just like we have our compound plan, right? And it's over a span of 12 weeks, which is 90 days. And then we, we'll go into another compound plan, or you can recycle that one. That's every 90 days. 90 days or 12 weeks is a quarter, right? So the reason why that's important is because our finances change. They change. We don't think they change because we may be fixed on us having the same income. It's like, okay, well, this is much money. This is how much money I make. I make, earn this much per year, or, and then when you have that job, whatever that raise may be, but think about that. No matter what that raise is, and then you have to think about bonuses. Some people, you may get bonuses. If you get bonuses, you get raises. I don't know if you may have like a part-time job or side hustle. Some people do Uber or Instacart, and bake pies, cookies, like whatever it is you do hair on the side, those things. Any other income that's coming in besides what you do, as far as your day-to-day, your everyday job, right? Or profession, your career. You have these other monies coming in. You have monies going out. There may be a decrease in the income, in the household income, right? There may be an increase. There may be an increase in debt, right? There may be some assets that's accumulated. There may be some assets that are sold. And in that means that there's a change that's happening. Does that change happen in every 90 days? Right? This is why it's good to do it every quarter. Did that happen in 6 months? Did that happen in a year? So it's good to do a balance sheet at least annually. I mean, at minimum annually, because of those changes. That gives us a clear mental picture and awareness, a consciousness of what's going on with your current finances, so that you know where you are. And then you got to think about it, not only your income and think about your retirement, right? What that looks like. We have to look at everything when it comes to our finances. If you have children that you're paying for them to go to college, or another type of school, or a trade school or something like that, to get a certification, or any of those things, the cars, the houses, all of that. These things change, and they change, they fluctuate. And so we always need to be aware of those changes and those fluctuations to know what it is that, maybe we need to increase, or some things we need to maybe cut back on. And, maybe we're still paying for some things that we're not using, and that money could be allocated to something else. Like, we must do a balance sheet at least once a year. This gives us it gives us a clear picture, a very clear picture on what's going on with our finances, and how we can let's say save, areas where we can save, to use those savings to not just sit there, right, but use that to increase the assets. Okay, so we're going to be going over this with our balance sheet. So we're going to dispel this myth about millionaires. Okay, the typical millionaire, and what is a typical millionaire. All right. So we're just going to do this one question. Most millionaires inherit their wealth. Would that be true or false? What do you think? True or false? Drop it in the chat. Okay, I see one there. We have a false there. Most millionaires inherit their wealth. Okay, we have the answers coming in. They're rolling in. All right. All right. All right. Okay, we have a true. I see some trues. I see some falses. All right. All right. Let's get to this answer. All right. Okay. So the answer is false, right? Only 20, I mean, according to this, the statistic from the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas, only 21% of millionaires inherit their money. The other 79% are the first in their family to become millionaires. So I also want to add this, okay? So if only 21% of millionaires inherit their money, then there's some principles that are not being abided by, right? In the scriptures, it says that houses and riches are the inheritance of the fathers, and a prudent wife is from Yahweh or from God. And then it also says that to leave an inheritance to your children's children. So if I put that together, that houses and riches are the inheritance of the fathers, and a prudent wife, prudent means cautious, frugal. When you think about frugal, you think about, being saving money, right? A prudent wife is from Yahweh. So one is going to be looking at the bag and saying like, okay, honey, listen, this is what we need to do. Right? Because, if and not saying this is like all women or all men or, any of that type of thing, because a man could be better when it comes to being prudent or frugal with money. I didn't say cheap with money. Cheap and frugal are two different things, right? Very, very different things. So sometimes a man is better with the money. Sometimes a woman is better with the money, right? But in most cases, women are the ones that kind of know like, well, what's going on in the house, and they know that Bobby need new shoes and such need, the clothes, and this one, they know who needs what in the house. They know what's working, what's not working, and all of that type of stuff in the house, right? And so, and how you can, okay, let's save on this to do this, to put this here and put that there. And in most cases, men like go out and make the money and bring it home, right? Well, I'll say in many cases. I won't say in most cases. In many cases, that's what that is. And in many cases, as far as the woman, the wife, the mother, right? So I understand why that scripture would say houses and riches are in the inheritance of the fathers, and a prudent wife is from Yahweh, because you bring that together and it works together. Then I see most wealthy people, they operate in that way. They are married, number one, and they come together and handling their finances and grow their wealth. And then they're able to pass it down to their children or their children's children, right? To where you have those that inherit. So if only 21% of millionaires inherit their wealth, then something is not happening with the houses and riches being the inheritance of the fathers. Like, what's going on there? Right? Like, what's the hindrance there? Right? And then the prudent wife, right? Well, I'm not just leaving this on the men. The prudent wife, like, what's happening there? You know, she's spending it all over the place on whatever, I don't know. You know, is he spending it all over the place? Does he not have it? Is he not getting it? Is he, like, what's going on there? Right? So there's something that's not, the principles are not working, right? The principles are not being, I won't say the principles are not working. The principles work. The principles are not, excuse me, are not being worked. All right. And we have to get to the point of working those principles so that this number can increase. It needs to increase, right? Would you all agree that it needs to increase? You know, so being in this market, having taken the opportunity to learn this skill set, where there's a vast market out here, again, $8 trillion circulating daily, not yearly, you know, not annually, not monthly, not trillions of dollars daily. And whatever that amount is for you, and which you're going to get that on paper, because it being in your head is one thing. Putting it on paper and then devising a plan and a strategy to manifest that or work it. That's how you manifest something. To manifest means to make plain, to bring into reality, right? We have to get it out of your head on paper and then work it. Okay, so the faith is in your head. You write that faith down, in that vision, that faith on paper, a plan and a strategy, and then work it. So that is that faith and works operating together. Like it says, faith without works is dead, right? Faith without works is nothing is happening, you know? So again, that mental health exercise is to take it out of your head, put it on paper, devise a plan and a strategy in order to work it every single day. Well, not every single day, 240 days out of the year. 240 days is, you know, those are those 5 days that we have that the market is open. Well, we say that then, hey, the market is open 24 hours, you know, all of that. But we do know that with our brokers, they have to take off, right? So Saturdays and Sundays, we're not trading. We know that the market opens back up, you know, Sunday at 6 Eastern, and usually Monday through Friday, we may be trading. And in the beginning, it starts out as that, but as time goes on and we get better and we start reaching our goals, then we can cut our trading days back, you know, to maybe we're trading, you know, 4 days a week, and then 3 days a week, and then 2 days a week, and then maybe 1 day a week, or just trading when we get the fundamental news, right? Because we know how that moved the market. So we can work ourselves to that point. But in the beginning, we do need to trade Monday through Friday because we're learning, right? We're becoming skilled at that. And so that we can be the ones to work these principles to help to bring this number up, because our families shouldn't have to start over. You know, it's like everybody is starting over and starting from scratch, and like the young people say, getting it out the mud. No, you know, and getting it out the mud has been glamorized now. And there are certain things that we need not glamorized, you know? So let's be the ones to help to increase this number, right? So what does wealth building mean to you. Okay, so we're going to get into this exercises of finding the net worth, because we want to change our language from income earners, oh, this how much money I make, because I can earn or make $1 million and then spend 2. That means I'm in debt. You see, so being a high income earner, it's good, but it's only good when you know how to, what they say, we call it living below our means. Basically, just because I earn $1 million doesn't mean I have to spend $1 million or 2 million. How many times have we seen that? The sports entertainers and just the entertainers and a whole, or whoever it is that they put in front of us, through media, to say, hey, they make this much money and they make that much money and they make this much money and then that much money. And then they lose it all, or they're in debt, or, those type of things. It means that, okay, they had high energy to make that income and the deals and all of that, but then still really having that mentality, right? The mentality was the same when it came to how to use the money, right? That's the consumer psychology that is built into every single one of us that lives here in America. And we've been doing that series with the consumer psychology in House of Hadassah on Tuesdays, right? Because we need to understand that mindset. We need to understand the consumer psychology mindset, so that, again, it's a conscious awareness. It's brought into our reality. We do a self-check, like, hey, am I caught up in that? And then being honest about it, or truthful about it with ourselves, then making the adjustments and the corrections that we need to. And it's not to say, like, hey, don't shop or anything like that. Come on now, we need things. Not only do we need things, we want things. There are certain things that I don't necessarily need, but I like it. Like, say, when it comes to handbags, everybody has their brand. Some people, the Louis Vuitton stuff, right? Mine is Coach. I've always loved Coach purses, their Coach brand. Then, ironically, of course, now I'm definitely a certified coach. So it's just like, oh wow, it makes it even better, like, to wear the Coach brand because I'm a coach. But I'm not about to break myself over Coach. I'm not doing it. Right. And so it's those things, bringing these things to our reality, because as we increase our income, there's a certain, yes, exactly. And I like what Rasta just said. He said they're finally starting to get wise to invest and not spend now. And that's the thing, because, think about it. Let's just think about this. And I'm going to use myself as an example. And then, and then this is where we're going to part on YouTube, but using myself as an example, say, let's say, okay, I was young at one point, and I'm watching the media and everything, just like everybody else, especially, young people. And then, you're watching TV and you're seeing the things that are there. You may identify with some things. And then, of course, you have your environment around you. And so it's like, hey, I want to be I don't know, let's just say dancer or entertainer or something like that, right? Because you see it and it's there, and you can earn a lot of money doing this, this, that, and the other. And then you start to pursue that. And, you're going about and you're getting better at it, all this type of stuff. And then you get your big break or that opportunity. Okay. someone comes along and you get this opportunity to do so. But here you are as a person that you don't have that income. You don't come from that family that is yeah, I won't even say well-to-do or middle class or anything like that, but just say the money that they end up putting on the table, right? Those deals are way more than what your family has, right? I mean, you could be middle class and come from a middle class background and well-to-do, but then they come with a such and such $1 million contract, right? This is money that you and your family has never had before. And so it's like your first mind is, man, I'll be able to, especially when you're young, you'll be able to buy this and buy that. You'll be able to buy your mama and your daddy or whatever a new house and a car because you've seen them working and struggling, trying to make ends meet and provide a better life for you and all of this type of stuff. So you get into everything that you will do for the people around you because that's what you've seen people around you need things and have to struggle and sacrifice and all of that, right? So that the mind is there the mind is not there to oh yeah, I'm going to get this and I'm going to invest. No, it's automatically on spin. Because the first thing, we're going to get out the hood. And, I'm going to get my mama and my daddy off their job and so forth and so on. Spin, 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 spin. And it's a good and noble thing, but not having that again, financial literacy, that's where a lot of them are taken advantage of. And then, of course, you have that amount of money or that contract and the endorsements and all of that for every increase, there's somebody else to pay. The lawyers, the agents, you have to pay people because they're this team of people, they're working for you or working with you. And, some of them are scrupulous people. And then there may be a handful, maybe one or two that can get, in their field to just be like, hey, let me teach you this because you're possibly being exploited or can be exploited. There's not a lot of people who will do that. And those who are around them and in that capacity where they do that, those are basically angels on earth, because in most cases, people won't do that. They figure like, well, shoot, you don't know? Well, shoot, I ain't gonna say nothing because I'm gonna be the one around that will take, basically exploit or take advantage of you. And I mean, hey, that's really that's a conscious, one of those, conscious decisions. And there's not a lot of people that do that, but then there are a lot that will. They just have to come into your, circle of influence. Right. So this is where we're going to end on YouTube. Again, I'm Coach Hadassah, metaphysician, educator, coach, and I teach trade and psychology at KPCFX, where we help our Forex students release trapped emotions and self-limiting beliefs to restore their mental health in order to increase their wealth at KPCFX. In the KPCFX culture in our community. So if you want to know more about our community and you want to become one of our 1,000 profitable traders that we are creating, then make sure you click in the description box below. A link is there and we can, help you get started, reach out to you, and we'll welcome you to the family. So until next Thursday.